Peter Schrager of Fox Sports was at the other championship game yesterday. He was in Foxborough covering the Patriots' huge win over the Colts. Before we get to what happened yesterday, Peter, you spent the week in Indianapolis. What did you learn about the Colts during that week, and what did you expect during that game?
Yeah, Paul, all week the question was, how are you going to stop the run? How are you going to stop the run? Because this team had given up a crazy amount of rushing yards, 480 rushing yards in the last two times they'd played the Patriots. It was all about what has made your defensive line better and what has made you guys tougher and ready for this. And the Colts, to a man, are saying, oh, no, we've got this. Art Jones is back in the lineup. We're good. And then about 2 hours before the game, I find out that the Patriots are only dressing 3 wide receivers, and they're going 5 running backs, and we saw what happened. Blunt runs all over them. This is one of those instances where one team has such a mental and just physical edge over another team that regardless of who they've played, common opponents, when they both get in the field, it just seems like it's a major league team and a minor league team. The Colts had a horrible effort yesterday, and they spent all week answering questions about how they were going to stop the run.
Peter, you mentioned the edge that the Patriots clearly have over the Colts. Do you think they have more of a personnel edge or more of a coaching edge against that team?
It's a great question because yesterday it was almost like what we're going to do, and we're going to do it, and we're going to do it well. This is a Colts team that was coming in hot. They looked good against the Broncos. They looked good against the Bengals. And then they went back to the same team that they looked like in Week 11 when the Patriots went into their building and ran the ball all over them. Pagano's a good coach. Minuski's a good coach. Obviously, Pep Hamilton could call an offensive game, but that one got out of control so early, and at no point yesterday, throughout the day, did it feel like the Colts had a shot against the Patriots.
Hey, Peter, this is Jonathan. I wanted to ask you, how do the Colts rebound from this? They looked really good going in. They crushed Cincy, they crushed the Broncos, and then have such a deflating loss, no pun intended, versus the New England Patriots.
Yeah, John, look, one of your buds, Reggie Wayne, he's now 36 years old, entering free agency. I think we've probably seen his best days. I'm not sure if he comes back with the Colts, but he's the veteran voice in that locker room. And, there might be a changing of the guard on that front. But Andrew Luck is great, and I think this is what every young quarterback has to go through. Maybe with the besides the 2 quarterbacks in the Super Bowl this year, that you've got to lose a few before you win. Drew Brees would lose a couple playoff games, had to win to get there, and obviously Aaron Rodgers lost some heartbreakers, and then, of course, Peyton Manning. So Andrew Luck in these Colts, if you look at it through the timeline, they've gotten 1 year further in his 3 years in the playoffs. They went wild card round, divisional round, AFC championship game, and now if you go on that timeline, they should be in the Super Bowl next year if you want to play it that way. But
do you think they can get there with the defense they have now? I love Vontae Davis. I think he's a tremendous player. I think he's a very good corner, but the rest of the defense.
Yeah, Toller and Davis, the 2 corners, both had very good years, quiet years. They're not as bombastic as Sherman and the defensive backs out in Seattle, but that team just got out of control yesterday, I think, and they've looked good, that defense. They played the Bengals earlier this season and shut them out 27-0. Then looked good in the playoff game, the first round, and against the Broncos. So I think the defense is fine. It's young enough. They'll draft some players. Then you got some good veterans up the middle with DeQuell Jackson and Art Jones. So the defense is all right. It's not the D. It's just I think there's that mental aspect of getting into a big game against the Patriots. They just have to get over that. And it's amazing because 10 years ago, that's exactly what we were saying about the Colts then.
And to follow up and I guess put a bow on what you're talking about with the Colts defense, how well they've been playing coming into that game. I think Andy Dalton had 12 possessions and led only 1 touchdown drive in playoff game number 1. I think Peyton Manning, same thing, 12 possessions, only 1 touchdown drive. So it was a Colts defense that had looked very good the last couple of weeks. The main story, Peter, as you know, is the Patriots emphatically moving on to Super Bowl 49 to take on the Seattle Seahawks. The other story that John's tired of, and I like it because John is tired of it.
Oh, thanks.
The Patriots allegedly taking part in deflating the footballs. Bob Kravitz initially reported the story from the Indianapolis Star, and the National Football League office is looking into it. A couple things here, Peter. Number one, when did you become aware of this? And number two, do you think it is a real story?
All right, number one, I'm there for Fox Sports. We're wrapping up the game, and I'm leaving a rain-soaked Foxborough at 1:15 in the morning, and I get a text from my producer saying, hey, what are you hearing about this? At 1:15 Eastern. So this was not something that was being talked about in the locker rooms. This was not something that, you had any chance to get a comment from Belichick about. it wasn't until this morning when Brady goes on that radio interview that I think he was even made aware of it. So it was a very, very overnight type thing. And then as far as the story goes itself, this is the Patriots. I think any chance that you're going to see there's even an investigation on anything, it's going to be taken into a whole new level. I hate to jump to any conclusion, but I'm going to side with Brady on this one. I just think the thought that there would be a conspiracy theory of one of these ball boys. You got to realize, guys, these ball boys protect these balls. There's 12 of them. Would take one of these balls and after the refs weighed them before the game and manually deflate them. Could you imagine they deflated it too much and then the ball comes out and all of a sudden the pass is thrown and it just goes to the ground? It's so much. I mean, to even think that they would do this is so brazen of an idea. I can't imagine that anything that was done intentionally. These balls are protected. The puns are going to be crazy throughout the week, just warning you on that one. But these balls are being protected by these teams with such handle and such care and such almost a paranoia that these aren't the right balls. The refs know what's going into this. I am very curious here. There's an investigation going on, but if this was, deflated manually by one of the ball boys, that is absolutely crazy. I can't imagine that being the case.
All right, Peter, one peek ahead to what's coming up, not this Sunday, of course, but on Super Bowl Sunday, the Patriots and the Seahawks. Hour one, Jonathan and also Tony Dungy let us know they're leaning towards picking the Seahawks. Any reason to think that the Patriots ought to be favored here?
Yeah, six trips to the big game, and
but they haven't won it. They haven't won it in 10 years.
They haven't won it in 10 years. It's funny. I was talking to Vince Wilfork after the game, and he's said, I've won one, but I was a rookie. And you think about how much of a veteran that Vince Wilfork is. Time really does fly. But this team, I just have been with this team a lot this year. I've done about 7 or 8 of their games, and I was at the Monday night game in Kansas City. And there just seems to be this feeling that this is our year, and when you've got Brady and Belichick, I don't care what you have aside from you, you're going to have a shot. And
so you're picking the Patriots.
They're the New England Patriots, and there's something about legacy. I know people roll their eyes about the stuff with, are you the elite quarterback? Are you the best ever? There is something to that. And Belichick and Brady are so competitive that's not alone going to be the way to do this, but I do believe if there's any quarterback I want in a Super Bowl this season, following all of them, it is Tom Brady. If there's any coach I want coaching him, the way he's doing this the last couple of weeks, Bill Belichick. Seahawks are great. Seahawks are fantastic. Put them on a neutral field against the Patriots. I'm very curious to see what happens. To me,
so Peter says the New England Patriots will win the Super Bowl.
I'll go with that. I'll take the Patriots. I know it's early. I'll take the Patriots. Okay. I think they'll win. I got a question for you guys. I saw this Doug Baldwin thing this morning of Doug Baldwin freaking out. What media outlet questions the Seahawks? I've never seen anyone be a hater on the Seahawks. He seemed to be freaking out about people not giving them credit. I don't know what goes on up there in Seattle. I feel like no team gets more respect than the Seattle Seahawks from the national media.
They like to get angry after winning games with the national media. It's just, it feels good for them for some reason. I will say that back mid-season when they were a decent team, around week 5, 6, 7, they were around 500. The defense wasn't nearly what it was. I know on our show we teed up a number of questions. It wasn't why are the Seahawks bad. It was why are the Seahawks not quite what they were at the end of last year. So maybe he was watching PFT.
I guess that's it. He was watching PFT. He saw what you said and said, hey, at 4-4, whatever record they had, everyone's questioning us. Let's get angry. You're right.
Hey, Peter Schrager, Fox Sports. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, guys.